Welcome back, friends. Now we will have another interesting session, that is annotation in forensic corpora, teaching your dataset to think like an investigator. I welcome you in this session in which we will focus more upon turning the raw text into intelligence evidence. Friends, a raw corpus is like uncut stone. An annotation carves it, polishes it, and reveals the underlying structure. When you annotate a corpus, you teach it to recognize patterns the way an investigator does. It's like providing those minute details so that a broader framework can appear more intelligently. You highlight these tense shifts, you identify emotional spikes, dialect markers, speech acts, deception cues, and many more behavioral indicators. Annotation is where forensic linguistics meets forensic intelligence. Now let's find out what exactly is annotation in corpus linguistics. Annotation is a process of adding labels to the text, labels that capture linguistics or psychological features. These are not just formal tags, but in fact they denote the part of speech, the sentiment, the dialect, the speech acts, emotional states, or even deception markers. You may say these are the specific inputs that you give to the system so that more intelligible, more accurate, enhanced, accurate, and meticulous findings can be drawn upon. Let me give you a raw text and let's understand what annotation exactly is. Consider this statement. I was angry, but I did not say anything. Now with these statements, what annotation you can do? Firstly, the word angry. I was angry, but I did not say anything. The word angry gives you the emotional spike. Here you can underline that it has an emotion, that is anger. Secondly, the statement also contains the phrase I did not say anything. Here the notion of avoidance is visible. Therefore, if you provide these two annotations, now the simple text has become intelligent. It has markers, it has clearly identifiable inputs so that the software or the procedure can be accurately carried out. Therefore, annotation makes the pattern visible. It makes your corpus searchable in ways raw text could never do. Once the text is annotated, your corpus becomes behavioral map because you know know-hows of that particular map. Why the annotation is crucial for forensic analysis? This is a very important question. Let's understand it. Friends, in forensic context, we often need more than one frequency counts. We need to know, firstly, where the speaker hesitates. Again, let me give you a raw statement. Consider this statement. I went there, I think maybe around night. I didn't mean anything. Now here if you just try to annotate this particular sentence, I think maybe these are uncertainty markers. Night is a time reference. I didn't mean anything, this is denial intention. Therefore, if we just analyze forensically, what kind of notions, what kind of emotions that you can find out? Firstly, how can you find out what speaker wants to say? Sometimes the speaker may hesitate. So how will you find out? The phrase is like, I went there, and then here he is not providing any more details. That's why we can say he is hesitating. Number two, where emotional intensity rises. Consider the statement, I was okay earlier, but now I am in anger. I'm really angry. Here the intensity has risen. Thirdly, where dialect reveals regional origin, English or North Indian background, मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता या फिर मुझे टेंशन नहीं है. Here he is using the English language. Fourthly, where coercive phrases appearing. If you don't do this, you will regret it. Here the coercion is visible. Fifth, where uncertainty markers are clustering. Here you can consider the statement, maybe it was late, I think, maybe I am not sure. Here uncertainty and weak recall is there. Therefore, annotation reveals these layers. Judges, lawyers or investigators, they can appreciate this annotated evidence because it is visual, it is systematic and it is replicable. Now, what are the types of annotations that can be used in forensic corpora? There are several layers of annotation. Firstly, if you just consider part of speech tagging, where you will find verbs, nouns and pronouns. I went there. So, went is the verb that is used. Secondly, sentiment or emotional tagging, anger, sadness, fear. Consider the statement, I am deeply hurt. Here, deeply is attached to the hurt. That means it shows the intensity of emotion. Dialect toggling, regional indicators, code switching patterns, मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता, these kind of words. Speech act toggling, threats, apologies, denials, commands. For example, now you have to take me seriously. Here threat is visible or command is visible. Sometimes the pragmatic markers where hedges, intensifiers or politeness, these kind of cues can be visible. For example, sometimes people say, I just want to ask. Frankly, I just want to know, these kind of things. Sometimes there could be deception markers, distancing language. Consider the statement like, it might have happened by its own, maybe. So here the speaker is distancing from that incident. Each layer adds a new analytical dimension to your database, and that is how your database gets enriched. Let's take a case example, annotation in witness credibility assessment, in cross-examination or in any examination. In a high-profile witness credibility case, annotation revealed clusters of hedges, maybe, I think, self-corrections, temporal uncertainty in one section of the testimony. But while in contrast, another section contains consistent details, subtle tense, and confident pronoun. So, annotation helps differentiating genuine memory gaps from coached or fabricated segments. This provides a nuanced credibility that can be assessed for the court. Let's take another example, annotation in threat messages to assess escalation. Friends, often investigators annotate a series of threat emails to identify escalation. Sometimes they make tagging that can reveal the use of imperative methods, imperative commands, second person pronouns, temporal markers like tonight, now, and modal certainty like will happen, you must, etc. Therefore, annotation made escalation visible across messages. This supported risk classification and emergency intervention. Now, the question comes how to annotate. Manual or automated? What is the best approach? Friends, manual annotation is slow but highly accurate. Automation tools like SPACY, NLTK or Stanford NLP, they can tag large database quickly but may misinterpret informal or multilingual language because it has language barriers. Therefore, best approach is hybrid. Let automation produce a base layer, then refine manually, word by word, the forensic precision. This combination ensures speed without sacrificing accuracy. Now, what are the annotation tools for forensic purposes? There are some commonly used tools such as UAM Corpus tool for linguistic and semantic annotation, ELAN for audio-video annotation, crucial for forensic phonetics, WebAnno for collaborative annotation across teams. These tools allow multi-layer tagging, version tracking, and cross-analysis. They are used in major research labs and law enforcement agencies worldwide. Now let's understand how annotation in cybercrime can work, how it can reveal hidden behavior online crimes. Cyber criminals often hide behind anonymity, that's quite common, we all know. But annotation exposes these patterns, it highlights. For example, groomers show cyclical emotional modulation and boundary testing language. Fraudsters use reassurance collections followed by persuasive interactions. Cyberbullies often shift quickly between ridicule, dominance, and escalation. Therefore, annotation helps to decode intent, emotional strategy, and behavioral motive in digital offenses. Annotation in multilingual and Indian contexts. Let's understand this. Friends, Indian linguistic landscapes require specialized annotation. Code switching reveals the emotional peak points. Mother tongue inferences reveal regional origin. Honorifics reveal power dynamics. Multilingual annotation layers are vital when analyzing threats, testimonies, political speeches, or online behavior in India's culturally diverse and rich environment. Now, what can be ethical frameworks that are required in annotation? Friends, annotation deals with sensitive material, victim statements, confession statements, various transcripts, psychological disclosures, etc. Therefore, strict anonymization is very important. Secure storage, clarity of purpose, and non-intrusive analytical practices are highly important. The goal is insight without exploitation. Annotated corpora form the foundation of forensic AI models. They train the system to detect threats, classify sentiments, identify the deception, and assist in authorship attribution. Friends, without annotated grounded truth, AI cannot learn meaningful patterns because annotations are simply the commands that are given to the system so that system can bring more accuracy to you. Therefore, annotation becomes a bridge between human expertise and computational power. Thank you friends for joining in this transformative session. In this, we have learnt how annotation turns a text into a map, showing tension, truth, deception, identity, and emotional journeys. It empowers the linguist to see beyond words and into behavior. Let's also understand that annotation teaches the language to reveal its hidden secrets. In our next video, we will explore semantic tagging and meaning layers, where we move from surface structures to deeply conceptual fields that can shape the communication. Thank you very much.